Hi, my name's Alex and I am the captain of Newcastle University men's first team hockey.
My name is Eli Green. I am a third year student currently studying performing arts at De Montfort University.
I've started at uni in London at Imperial doing computer science.
My name is Carrington and I have been with Boys in Mind for about 7 months now.
I was diagnosed with depression in November of 2017. It was a big struggle, and the hardest thing that I found was admitting it to myself, but then also admitting it to my close friends and family.
Being in third year, that's a challenge, but doing it whilst being in a pandemic and having a lockdown at uni has been quite difficult.
It's much harder to socialise and kind of get out there and meet new people a lot of the time. So it's been quite a hard time for a lot of people, I think.
I was going through a particularly dark patch in March 2018, and one of my friends came and kindly said, look, you're not yourself, we need to do stuff and make you active, make you physical, and he would take me out and we would go playing golf, we would go for long walks, and then he would make sure that I always had food and he would cook for me. So it was absolutely brilliant, and it made me realise that I wasn't alone.
I joined Boys in Mind when my dear friend Lewis McCracken took his own life. I think if I hadn't talked to the people that I needed to talk to, I would be in a much worse position than I am now. I think I'm a better person for talking. I definitely feel better now that I've been talking as well. And I really feel like talking is one of the most important things you can do.
I'm the captain of the hockey team, and one of the players came forward and he basically said that he'd been really struggling with everything else going on in his life, and he felt that hockey was an unnecessary addition and that was making him more stressed. So I simply said to him, I said, what would you like to gain out of this conversation? And he said, look, I would quite like to take a back seat at the moment. And I said, well, in which case that's absolutely fine. When we had the conversation, I think he said that it just felt like a weight lifted off his shoulders. The hardest thing is initially bringing that conversation up.
I sometimes just kind of start talking about how I've been getting on and just being open about where I'm at emotionally. And then often people will just kind of follow suit and start sharing as well, which is really nice. And what's nice about that as well is they're not forced to. They have the option to. They know that you're emotionally available to them.
I live with my friend Ben, and we both had problems in the past, and I think me and him living together, we've been able to kind of talk about everything. We talk so much more, and we've talked about a lot of kind of dark moments that we've both had, and I think that's been quite nice living with him and just kind of getting comfortable talking about those kind of feelings.
Sometimes all I have to say is how have you been getting on recently? How's life for you? What's been going on? And that can kind of take whichever direction they want. They can share on an emotional level, they can share how their day's been going, just whatever they feel comfortable with, but they have the option to. So, yeah. And that usually kind of does lead on to a conversation about how they're really doing emotionally.
We as men don't tend to talk about our feelings an awful lot. It just doesn't come up in conversation, and everyone's just, it happens, but you just kind of, you get on with it and you move past it. But I think it's really important, especially in Northern Ireland of all places, for guys to get talking about how they're feeling. And I think the conversations that we started whenever Lewis passed on was something that was really meaningful, and for some people really groundbreaking as well, to get them to be able to open up about how they're feeling and how they're talking. I think it's been a tremendous experience for all of us, for everyone involved, and as terrible as his death was, at least some good came out of it.
negative mental health is something that affects absolutely everybody and will affect everybody in their life, but whatever anyone can do to help, whether they let their friends know or they don't even say anything and you go and take them out and you do something fun that you'll know they enjoy, that is absolutely important for everybody involved.
I know from my own experience that it's so much, like, you feel so much better after you got it off your chest to the first person. That first conversation sometimes is so difficult to have, but then once you've had it, the next one is just 10 times easier.
It's just important just to talk about anything, even if it might not be something that's really upsetting you, just to have those conversations and not just to bottle up anything, any sort of worry you have, say it, talk to them about it, evaluate it. This year has made me realise talking to other people about problems, whether how big or small, is just so important.
You're never actually alone going through stuff, and talking about it just brings that home. It makes you realise that it's not just me.